Here we are again in the car. The Middle Easy Fight Fist podcast.
Wow.
Brah, brah, brah.
Wow.
If you could tell, folks, that is three voices. We are three people, all of us, the hosts.
I am
me,
one person,
Dan Lamort,
yes.
Luke, Tuma,
What's going on, everybody?
and Diego Lopez. No nicknames for any of us
No
today.
nicknames,
I'm
just a lot
sorry.
of kisses.
No.
Yeah, and we're in a car again in a very populated area of Manhattan, realizing that people give weird looks when they walk past a car of three men talking into microphones.
This is our new thing.
Yeah, this really tests my anxiety. I think I'm going to bring Xanax next time.
That or tint your windows like crazy.
Yeah, that would be cool.
No, my windows are as untinted as possible.
Oh, yeah, this is
Everyone
factory.
sees this.
Yeah, we'll put some
Yeah.
newspapers up or something.
Hopefully we get another Willem Dafoe.
Oh,
yeah,
that'd be fun.
That was crazy.
Celebrity sightings per pod.
Yeah, man.
How,
the
how
roof.
we doing? How's life?
We took a week off because the day we usually release the podcast, we were at PFL 1.
Wow,
At
heard of
MSG.
it? Probably not. It's new.
It's
Probably
the,
not.
It's a new league, the Professional Fighters League, and the theme or the concept behind the league is that they have a regular season, playoffs, and then championships for I think like for the same amount of divisions as the 10 divisions, I think, and then each division champion at the end of the season wins $1 million.
Which
prize.
I will say, I've seen almost no complaints about their system and all compliments. People really love this format.
It seems it's interesting. It changes it up.
I haven't seen too many people talking shit about it. So.
Yeah, it definitely.
I will.
adds a
How about
new-
that?
Yeah.
It sucks and you're a bitch.
Take that guy who runs PFL, whose name I don't know.
They did get a little. I wouldn't say they were mad at me, but they got a little. You weren't there, Dan. They got a little
Peeved?
defensive, I would say, because I asked a question in the post-fight media scrum about. I basically just asked because basically another big thing with the PFL that sets it aside from organizations like the UFC and Bellator is that they do a point system, and that's how they rank the opponents, or that's how they rank all the fighters going into and decide. That's how they decide who gets into the postseason, and then so on and so forth, and how everybody's seated. And the point system, basically, if you win, you get 3 points. If you win by decision, you get 3 points. If you lose, you get 0 points. And then if it's a draw, you get 1 point. But then on top of that, if you win in the first round via stoppage, either knockout or submission, 6 points for a first round finish, 5 for a second round finish, and then 4 for a third round finish.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, it incentivizes the fighters to try to throw big early, go for finishes in the early rounds, get more points, and then advance that way so they can ensure they're in the playoffs and then get better seeds, so face easier opponents, so on and so forth. Basically, I asked them if they're worried, the two guys who own the league, if they're worried that this point system is going to cause fighters to fight a riskier game and then essentially cause more injuries.
Oh,
Are
wow.
they worried about the injuries that
Oh,
it
yeah.
might cause? Because
Yeah.
fighters are going to be fighting if they really do care about the point system. Like
That was a 0-point question for them.
They answered it with their mouth, but their eyes said, fuck you, man.
Yeah, they were-
Fuck off, Luke.
the big guy is like a big
Ray Sefo. He's a
Ray Sefo. Is he
phenomenal
Hawaiian?
I believe he's Samoan.
Yeah.
He is a legendary kickboxer.
Yeah,
and
well,
a
he can't
MMA
kick
fighter.
these questions away, baby. We're coming with the hard-hitting
He's a
shit.
legendary kickboxer.
Oh yeah. I think he's a K1 champion. He's a fucking big deal. He's
He-
a terrifying human being.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I'm an
he was-
A1 champion.
Hey, you put
He
that
was-
sauce.
He was massive.
It's the
And
best
Yeah.
joke I'm going to have all episode.
You just take a nap now.
I'm done. Good night.
Well, yeah, he was huge and he was intimidating, man. He was because he looked at me and he smiled. He kept smiling throughout the whole interview, but he didn't answer my question at all. He literally just went, "I think everybody had a good time tonight, don't you think?" And I was like, "I mean, yeah, but like,
Sure, it was fighting.
I was like, "Yeah, I mean, I had a good time, but it was
I left earlier than you guys because you guys were in there for the interviews, and
Just a little bit.
I
Yeah.
had to get
Yeah.
my car out in the lot. And the last fight of the night wasn't even the main event. It was a fight that was on Facebook Live, and the winner, whose name I honestly don't recall, turned to the press area.
Oh,
and
yeah.
said, he told all the media
Fuck, I'll
people to
find
go
his
fuck
name.
themselves.
it was so crazy."
And he said, try writing another negative article about me. And all of us were kind of like, we don't really know you.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I was leaving, he was being brought back, and I was walking towards him, and I couldn't have took off my media chain quicker. I ripped it off. I was like, I don't want. I just went to the water fountain that didn't work, and I was like pretending to sip because I
Yeah.
did. That man was large.
I also think he was a little salty because they did. So basically, they had what was the main event to everybody in the arena, and then they did another fight after that, even though the main event basically, quote unquote, kind of had already happened. And so like 2/3 of the arena cleared out in between those last two.
Oh
fights.
yeah, it
There
really
was
cleared
no
out.
crowd.
Jack
That-
May.
Yeah, Jack May.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was saying his nickname should be
I'm-
April.
I'm gonna make it a point now to only write negative things about him.
Jack
Yeah.
May.
I never had an interest in writing about him, but now I'm gonna do a whole article.
No,
like,
but then he wins. That's what he wants.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
writing shit about him. I mean, I
no,
don't
but
write
I'm gonna do
anything
like
at all. But
investigative journalism. I'm
I
gonna find
will-
out he like murdered a cat.
Yeah, I don't want to do any.
Oh.
I don't want to do too many. Give him too much press, but I will say on record, Jack May is not a friend of the pod.
not a friend
Nope.
of the
Not
pod.
a friend.
Yeah, take that. And we have some cool friends of the pod.
Yeah.
Jack, never again.
You're out.
Acquaintance of the pod. at
Unless you
best.
become really famous, then you could be a friend of the pod.
Yeah, unless you want to be on the pod, then you'll be a
Mhm.
friend.
Yeah,
Of
if you want to, we're short of guests. But
It was. I mean, it was pretty sick to get to take the train to Madison Square Garden to cover an MMA event.
dude, it was amazing, and
Yeah,
the
and
energy.
you had a
in there-
vegan donut beforehand, so
Oh, you
you
goddamn
were
right.
ready. Yeah, there was
Yeah.
no food for the press, huh?
Mm-mm.
Hmm.
Real, not the same as the UFC. We'll say that.
Yeah, it's a newer
It's their
league.
first. It's their first, technically their first event. I mean,
Even
you know,
though
they
they
were
had
World Series
years
of
as the
Fighting.
World Series of Fighting.
Yeah. But yeah, there's Cinnamon Snail at the Pensy. Cinnamon Snail's one of my favorite vegan
Yeah,
food places. There used to be a truck, and now they have a little restaurant in that.
It was-
weird
And one of my
cafeteria.
favorite knockouts happened. That guy knocked out that guy.
Beautiful knockout.
That what was
wasn't
it? It was I forgot the guy who threw the knee, but the guy who he caught was that guy Alan Carr. Nothing like a heavyweight throwing a flying knee.
the guy who threw the knee was the guy. He calls himself the Spartan.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He like
it was
yelled,
one
"This
of
is
the
Sparta."
most loud knockouts I've ever heard.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Because not
Uh,
only did he throw the knee and land it, but he lost his balance, so he fell on top of his opponent.
Yeah.
Which definitely didn't make things better. For
Also,
the guy.
that knee knocked the guy out cold.
Yeah, Coyote Alencar versus Kevin Tiller.
Yeah, Tiller was the guy who won.
I gotta be honest. I've been calling that guy Chow the whole week.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. It's very close.
I've been calling him Chow Alan Carr.
But
Goodbye, Alencar.
dude, it was so cool being in MSG. Man.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, it was still just the Hulu Theater, but I've never
Yeah.
been in there for,
And-
for
and-
fighting stuff.
No, man, and it's still sat like 5,000. There's a really good energy in there, and I was shocked by honestly how good the fights were.
Yeah,
They were, like,
that's the thing.
ridiculous.
The first 4 fights, the Facebook card, they were first round finishes to the point where I think we just took an hour break in between. We just
Yeah.
stood there for like an hour because
Yeah.
they were like, "Oh, we're NBC and we have a slot of time allotted for the fights, and we're not going to like rush them, but we have to wait now."
They sent Boss Rutan into the ring to kill time, and then he was like, "Oh wait, this was only been 5 minutes."
Oh yeah, him and Randy Couture just fucking improv'd for 5 minutes, and those
yeah.
were real awkward.
Which is great to see fighters do improv.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome. They're like going into the crowd, they're like, "Where are you from?"
and they're like, "What? Get the fuck off! You're
Nice shirt.
the dang."
Gotta be honest though, they sold it out. I would guess there was no open seats there,
It was
and
fun.
their coverage is fantastic. I mean, Boss Rutan, Randy Couture, and Yves Edwards,
I love you, Edwards.
and
So
that
cool.
girl in the red dress.
Oh, he messaged me today.
The girl in the red dress.
No, Eve Edwards.
Oh,
A
really?
little fist emoji because I posted a picture of him.
Oh, cool.
Because when we got there, because we were sitting behind the commentators,
Yeah.
and on the screen, because you know those screens that you can draw like arrows pointing to like football
Yeah, like
passes.
the John Madden screen.
Yeah. Well, someone wrote Thug Jitsu for life, and I got an Instagram story of that, and I wrote I agree, and then he messaged me today and gave me a little fist.
Oh, that's
Nice.
cool.
I remember
So we're
when I
best
asked
friends
for
now.
a bottle of water, and one guy was like, "Take it," and it was underneath Boss Rutan's leg. It
Oh,
was
yeah,
like
like-
his water bottles.
Yeah,
It's
don't
like
have-
definitely not going to do that.
I'm like, oh, Dan's gonna get murdered right now.
It was very weird to see.
was-
The fights they started early.
Yeah.
It was
well,
the fights were supposed to start at 6:30, and like the guys walked in the ring at like 6:12.
No,
Yeah.
they didn't walk in the ring. They were just there.
Dude,
Yeah,
We
this-
did not see them walk out.
Yeah,
we
we
just
thought
look
they were-
up and there's people in the cage ready
Diego
to
was
go.
like, "That must
Yeah.
be promo."
Yeah, I thought they were doing promo.
And then they just started announcing them.
They started
Yeah,
fighting.
it was the most like there was no it was the
Yeah.
least ceremonious or like ceremonial fucking introduction for that first fight.
They
just
were
like
so prepared.
schlupped 2 guys out there.
Yeah, it looked
And,
like they pulled out fans. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you two are about the same size.
That's fun. That's like the like at an open mic where they do a showcase spot at the end.
Mm-hmm.
They like just gave this to 2 guys. You guys could open it up.
I'm like, oh, thanks.
Dude, fucking so there was Tiller was the guy who threw the flying knee, which is if you check that out, it's insane. He flew in, by the way, they're heavyweights. So he was a heavyweight that threw a flying knee, connected with the guy's chin, knocked him out cold. Then also the Steven Seiler fight, which was insane.
That was nuts.
That was insane. That was the guy against
I got it.
Magomed Idrisov.
Idrisov, yeah.
Yeah, from
One of
Dagestan.
17 Magomeds on the card.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's
there
quite,
were a
quite
lot
a
of
big Dagestani front
Yeah.
on the fight.
And I think he was like fucking. I think he was like 19-1. Magomed,
Wow.
or 8-0, something
Something good.
Yeah, some very
Diego
good record.
informed me that night that Dagestan is not a city and isn't in fact a country.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was
I just
an
thought it was
area
a
of
city
Russia.
of people fighting.
I know it's something to do with Russia, but look, I'm a fighter. I don't know much. I just know a lot of fighters from there.
I'm
But
a
it was a
guy, I
crazy
don't know
fight.
much.
Yeah, and so basically Magomed essentially knocked out
He was out.
Steven
He was
Siler.
fucking out,
he was
dude.
out. And to the point where we interviewed Steven and he was super cool and I got to hang with him backstage and I'm really happy that he ended up winning. But he was knocked out and then getting hammer fisted in the face by a fucking jacked Dagestani guy to the point where Diego and I were like, he is out.
I'm like yelling at the ref,
Stop
like,
the fight, dude. Like we were screaming.
This is murder now.
Yeah, dude. He was just getting his head bashed in, and
I think his arms twitched in the perfect way to make it look like he was blocking.
No.
I don't know what he was. I don't know why that ref let that go, but it was like he was so out, and then he just kept getting his limp body was getting hammer fisted repeatedly, and then the ref didn't stop it for so long that he eventually regained consciousness.
He got punched into consciousness.
Yeah. And then it's like that Louis bit where he says his first
His
memory
first
is
shit.
shitting.
Yeah.
like
Bottom line. Yeah. well, then the fight continued somehow.
Yeah,
and
the fight continues. And
Steven shoots. Magomedov sprawls and rotates out of it to the point where Steven ends up on his back, but then Magomedov kind of like falls into a triangle,
it was,
and then he fucking finishes it.
yeah, it was crazy.
And I yelled jiu-jitsu because jiu-jitsu was sick.
Yeah, and he pulled it when he immediately it was so weird the way he sprawled and just fell forward.
Yeah,
and
oh
he
yeah,
just
fell right into
a
it.
triangle. And I was interviewing Steven and he just straight up said he was like, yeah, he just fell into it, man.
Yeah.
And
That was a tight choke.
Yeah, it was cool to see that happen because it was one of the most amazing comebacks I've ever seen. And Steven's been fighting for that was like his 40.
He's been fighting for a while.
Fighter,
Yeah.
30 something fight maybe.
He was on that
Maybe
Ultimate
more.
Fighter with Mayhem Miller and Bisping.
I think
That's
that was his
crazy.
30th career win.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
I think he's 30-17 if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
But also, what was interesting is that he got lost backstage like an hour later, and I was like helping him get to the locker room,
Aw.
and I realized, dude, he had no idea where he was, and I was
Sure.
like, God. And I was just, I interviewed him earlier, and he was really charismatic in the interview and fun to talk to. But then an hour later, I'm like helping him get to where he's got to go.
Yeah, he was like,
And he
"Sir,
was-
I have to fight. Can
dude-
you get me to the ring?
Like, no.
You won."
Yeah, one. Oh, sick.
He's like, I think I'm fighting in Dagestan.
In
You know
his
where that is?
defense, I did not get hit in the head and got lost on the way out. So
Yeah, it was a little tricky.
I took a lot of wrong turns.
It was interesting though to see a fighter right after like getting hit that many times in the head and see how confused he was. It was crazy, and I was like, Jesus Christ,
It's brutal.
Because Aljamain told us on the podcast that when he got knocked out by Marlon, he said he was like hanging out with people after and everything like that, and then he said that the next thing he remembers, even though he hung out with people after he came to, is waking up in the hospital.
Yeah.
So like
You could have kind of burnouts where you're conscious and you're like talking and everything makes sense, but then you just can't hold on to that memory.
Yeah, that's so fucked up. That's insane, man.
Yeah, it's real weird.
It's so crazy. And
I don't even remember talking to Aljamain about that.
No, you know.
That's how traumatic the kick was.
Yeah.
it
It shook your memory.
It shook my memory.
too.
I think
Um,
I've contributed to killing my memory as best as possible.
How do you think, just because, this is not just about the fights themselves, how do you think we did as a team for this card? Is our second card as a full team?
I would guess
Covering?
that we were the only brand, like the only Twitter feed that was live tweeting every fight from the PFL. And they got pretty good traction. And I think, if anything, we convinced some people to tune in because there was such a good card.
It really
I
was.
mean-
It was really fun.
Every fight was exciting. There was nothing that was that boring. Everyone really fought hard. And I think it is because of the point system. I mean, if you know that you're going to maybe get $1 million if you ended in the first round, I think it adds a little boost in you.
Well, also, it's like it's a new league, and it's pretty even in terms of notoriety for the fighters. So, like, if you make a statement this early on, you could really stand out. And you could really start making a name for yourself in this.
I saw someone
league.
post that the PFL should do like an online behind-the-scenes show so the fans could get to know these fighters.
Well, that's a
'Cause
great
so
idea.
many people don't know them.
That's a very smart idea.
Yeah,
I
that'd
think
be-
I'm going to steal it and bring it to them.
Be like, how about this? How
I'm
about
going
this?
to email
thing?
them tomorrow about that idea.
Yeah, well, it's ours now. We said it on our podcast.
I didn't see a trademark emoji next to it.
Not a chance.
No, yeah, that would be great because honestly, I think we did well. But I think maybe
We did the best that we could with the setup. It wasn't set up for media to excel.
Right.
I agree with that.
Not in the same way the UFC one was,
No.
where they
No.
kept bringing fighters back. It felt a little, it's a well-oiled machine at this point.
Yeah, so the issues were, and it was still a great event, and they were really accommodating and nice to us. But I do think some of the issues just because they have to work these kinks out because it's a brand new league, and were that they weren't really able to tell us when the fighters were going to come back.
Right.
They would give us conflicting things. They would apologize for it every time, but they would give us conflicting information. At first, this guy's going to come back. Then, no, he's going to wait till the end. Then this guy's going to wait till the end. Then all of a sudden, some random fighter walks in, and they're like, oh, he's here. And then you're like, what the fuck? So then you have to interview him. Also, another big thing was that I don't think they understood how much, that the room has to be quiet.
That was frustrating. That was very frustrating.
If people are using their cell phones and just shotgun, or even shotgun mics,
Yeah.
And there's people talking and laughing and have the door open and the national anthem's playing. Like our Steven Tyler interview, you could hear a lady belting out the national anthem.
I would like to add that
MSG.
she got booed. She was the first one on that card to get booed.
She got
Well,
booed?
I think the more annoying part of
She
it was
missed
the
it
people
out.
that were talking in the room were the employees of PFL.
Well, there was a lot going on. There was actually, I remember one of the employees yelling at someone who was sitting on Media Row who was a PFL employee that the entire feed went down on television.
Oh, boy.
And they lost the Facebook feed a few times. I think they're having problems with their social media channels as well.
Oh.
Yeah,
So I
I
think
mean-
it was a lot of, this, even though they had been a league before, this was the first time they were doing it this way on this channel.
Yeah, I'm sure they got
And
rid of
I
people
think
and
they-
added people.
Yeah, they had to work out a lot of kinks, I think. And I was happy that we got to be there for the first one because it establishes a relationship with them.
And that was cool to be there and watch a league happen, and you could tell people were excited for it. It was cool, man. I do think, as being from my perspective, I guess doing interviews, it's a lot easier to interview someone when they're known.
Oh, yeah.
It's just I get to, it's hard to interview the guys that even some of the winners, like Seiler's fight, super interesting, easy interview. Andre Harrison, which we should talk about him, we will.
He's great.
Very easy interview because it was he had an eventful night. But there are other guys that won where it's like you won a decision, nobody really knows you. That's fine, but it's so much easier to interview Eddie Alvarez about
God,
his
yeah.
ongoing beef with Dustin Poirier
Sure.
and the prospects of him fighting Poirier or fighting Nate.
And there's-
Because at the end of the day, we're in the game of getting views, and unfortunately, some of these people won't get views.
Also, even past that, we're in the game of asking compelling questions and having interesting conversations, and it's hard to do that when someone's not as famous or noteworthy.
Sure, and it's a combination of they are not that famous of a fighter yet because their platform is small and a lower level league, but also we have to do a lot more homework probably on these lower level fighters, so we have something to go off of. But it's just asking a lot of us at this point.
Totally. No, absolutely. And it's something that I think we'll learn to do. And I think it would be better I think it'd be easier if they had something like that, like an online show to kind of, reveal who these fighters are to the people. And
Especially
and
with
stuff
us
like that.
as the hosts.
Wow.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink, good idea.
Yeah, we're actually hosting the next Singapore summit. Fight Fist will be live at the Kim Jong-un Trump second handshake.
Very beautiful.
But it was it was fun talking to those fighters though, and it was cool seeing them. I don't know. It was cool. It was interesting. I thought very interesting seeing them in that position because I was trying to figure out: do these guys want to go to the UFC? Are they content in this league? What's the future for these guys? Some of them are phenomenal fighters. Some of them are more middle of the road fighters. But it was interesting because it was just very different from the other events.
You know what I found interesting was that there were some fighters in the ring with Bas Rutten after the fight calling out other people. But I was like, if this is an actual league, their opponent's going to be given to them.
Yeah, they don't really
There's
get
going to be no
pick.
calling out. This is going to be based off of points. I think even the fighters forgot it was a point system.
Yeah, it's a very funny thing. Like, number 3 seed, I'm going to get you, and I don't really have a choice. Bye.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
you can't call out someone who, if they don't make the seed, isn't going to be able to fight you.
I do kind of like the fact that the fights are predetermined based on the point system.
That's kind of fun, yeah.
Yeah, because if there's two guys that are knocking each other out, I think it'll make for interesting fights.
Yeah.
My assumption is that if they lost on this PFL 1 card, they're not going to be on any other ones. That's
Which is
my
kinda
assumption.
brutal.
I have no idea, though. I mean,
They
it
might
seems
be
like
doing-
there's a lot up in the air.
Because when we talked to Kyla Harrison, she's doing a one-off basically for them. There's no tournament for women in this league yet.
Oh, but she's
So-
still going to be on one of the cards.
Exactly. So they might be doing the tournament-style fights and then also have one-offs to let people fight and make money, make a living
Interesting.
somehow.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, they're at the end of the day, if these people are signed to this league, they still need to fight in this league and make money somehow.
Yeah.
And I have to give them credit. Maybe this is more for the Hulu Theater, but most fight events, they get hotter as the night goes on. This one started at like 90 degrees, and the room was like 65 by the end. I
Oh, they
loved
got
it.
very nice.
Yeah, it got really nice and nippy.
I was happy for you.
Thank you. Yeah. You know the plight of a man who sweats. Thank
I
you.
do. Andre Harrison
Harrison.
had
Dre
a
the Bull.
very good fight.
Yeah, he is now
Uh,
18-0.
I couldn't say that guy's name. Turkson? Was he fighting? He's Argentinian, right? That was his
No,
Yeah,
he
opponent?
was
he
fighting
called
the
him-
Chinese guy.
The Chinese guy.
His
That's
first
who it
name
was.
is Juma something. He was just calling him Juma.
Juma Biki.
Yeah.
Very fun name.
Jumanji.
Fun fight.
I mean, Andre dominated.
Dominated. Couldn't
Large
get the
man,
finish.
but couldn't finish him.
Yeah. That other guy had a fucking chin though. Like he
Yeah,
was
he
really
did.
eating a couple, and I'm like, I can tell when someone when they take a punch and their head barely turns off of it, and not in like this fist made my face turn, but usually people will turn away from punches, like physically turn their heads. And it's like he just stood straight on and just kept eating punches. I'm like, oh, this guy's a fucking maniac.
Yeah.
There were also a couple things about Andre that I thought were interesting. One was when he's in the ring and he's fighting, I could not believe that he weighed 145
Oh,
pounds.
it's nuts.
Because
He's
he
real
looks like he
thick.
weighs 200 pounds.
Yeah, he's
He is
short,
a
but it's thicky.
monster.
You remember
Like,
that wrestler in the WWE, Booker T?
Yeah.
He looks like Booker T.
Yeah, he
He
really
was a shorter
does.
Booker T.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a fucking
So
he-
ripped.
and he
Jacked.
was hitting
So
with so
handsome.
much power, dude.
Yeah.
Hitting.
Imagine
he's-
the power he kisses with Diego.
Mm,
Yeah,
don't
he-
even get me started.
jacked lips. Much very very voluptuous lips.
It's
for
interesting because he's
145
18-0, but he is 30. If he wins this,
30?
yeah, he's 30 years old. I'd
Wow.
assume he's the favorite in this division.
He seems
the
like it.
PFL.
They were saying betting wise, one of the other reporters, and he was asking them questions about it. Andre's like the heavy favorite for featherweights.
I'd assume if he wins the PFL, I mean, a lot of people who were World Series of Fighting champions Dana White really did like them.
Yeah.
I mean, Marlon was a World Series of Fighting champion. Jimmy was in the World Series of Fighting.
I could see it happening. I mean,
Justin Gaethje.
Gaethje was. Eddie Alvarez might have been at one. No, he was World. He was
He was
Bellator.
Bellator.
Yeah, but Dana White seems to give a lot of World Series of Fighting guys chances, so it's not unlikely to think that Andre might be in the UFC at one point. I mean, a few people he's beaten are now still in the UFC, like Desmond
Green.
Desmond. I was really trying to make it sound extra black.
Dresmond.
Dresmond.
Mr. Druck.
He yeah, man. I think he could definitely be in the UFC. I mean, he's super talented. He
yeah, you
completely
could see
dominated
like a
that
lot of charisma, a lot of potential.
Friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod.
Also, I
Easily
couldn't-
friend of the pod.
Yeah, I also couldn't believe how like nice and calm he was when I interviewed him after, because he was fighting with so much violence. Like he was like the punches he was throwing looked like he was furious.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't believe how much he's putting behind every single one of these punches. So then when I interviewed him, I kind of thought he was gonna be like way more braggadocious than he was, but he's a real subdued kind of
Hell
guy.
And he
Right,
gave
gets it out.
former guest Randy Brown a shout out in the ring after the win.
Yeah,
He said he
and-
was trying to kick like Randy.
Yes, he did. And then I asked them about, because they have a web series called Dre and the Bull, and I asked them about it. So shout out to Dre and the Bull. But I asked them about the web series because I knew none of the other reporters.
Wait,
even
their
knew it
web
existed.
series is called Dre and the Bull?
Oh no,
But he's both of them.
Rude
Rude boy in the bull.
Boy in the Bull, not Dre and the Bull.
Man, I was going to be like, what a narcissist.
No, Rude Boy in the Bull. My bad.
Welcome to the Middle Easy Dan Lamort podcast.
But it yeah.
And then the next, I mean, I guess the transition out of this goes to UFC 225.
yeah. Well. Also, I was gonna say that we'll have Andre on in the next couple weeks probably.
Hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully.
And,
He's great.
And I was thinking we could maybe get him and Randy on at the same time after that.
So much fun. Yeah,
because
we'll do a
Randy
group-
does have a fight to promote.
Yeah.
He's fighting in August at UFC Idaho.
Yeah.
Beautiful
Boise.
Idaho. I've been
So
many,
funny in my
many
head.
times.
Beautiful Boise.
In my head, I was like, "Oh, he's fighting in some weird foreign country." But,
What is a boys?
Yeah, but yeah, let's talk to 225.
225 was great.
225. This was the first time ever where I was so excited for the entire card that I bought it all. I'm now a member of UFC Fight Pass.
Oh, congratulations.
Also because the Fight Pass prelims were better than the actual prelims. I mean,
Yeah.
that card was insane. The fact that Sergio Pettis' fight was on the Fight Pass
Right.
prelims was insane. That was the number 1 ranked guy versus number 5 ranked guy.
And Sugar Rashad's retirement fight
That was a bad retirement.
Sure, but they're never good.
The whole week I was like, I can't believe they're doing him dirty by putting him in the Fight Pass prelims. Then after what happened, I was like, that was a pretty good choice.
He's like one of the saddest ones with the old.
Bless you.
With
so much.
with,
Sorry,
the,
guys.
with these guys who are old legends that can't hang it up.
Mhm.
He's one of those. He's on a 5-fight lose streak. You just don't like to see him.
I
get beat
hope
up
what
like
just
that.
happened to him makes Liddell not want to come out of
I
retirement.
know,
Oh, God,
man.
why?
Stop,
Don't
dude.
do it.
You have
No,
nothing
thank
left to
you.
prove. You are already, if anything, you're contributing negative stuff towards
Yep.
your case being a Hall of Famer. You're ruining the legacy you had because, unfortunately, more people are going to remember that you wouldn't quit.
Yeah. Also, it's also going to look bad if these guys fight too late into their careers, like later than they should have into their careers.
Yeah, I hope they like mashed potatoes. They're going to be drinking a lot of them.
I also, well, I was gonna say like it sucks because it's just more guys that are at risk of CTE, and that's a bad look.
It just makes the sport.
You were much
Yeah.
more articulate with it than I was.
Want to run down the list of main card?
Yeah, let's do it.
So CM Punk, pro wrestler versus Mike Jackson. Man, that was a real bummer.
If anyone needed more proof that wrestling is fake, CM Punk defended his title in the WWE 141 times.
Wow.
He couldn't defend one of Mike Jackson punches.
Yeah, it was almost like he's like, hey, how can I be a pro wrestler and also get CTE faster?
You know what? Also, what was bad was it looked like a kid getting bullied on a schoolyard because of the way he wore his hair.
Yeah.
It was in his
draped
eyes.
in front of his eyes, and then when he would get punched, he would make these like horrible like I'm getting beat up faces, and his
Yeah.
hair, his like bowl cut would like flail in the air. It looked like a kid with a bowl cut getting beat up on a schoolyard.
Nothing's worse when your bowl cut's flailing in the air and your arms.
Yeah.
His punches were just flailing. And I've got to be honest, I'm not a wrestling fan like WWE, but I have so much respect for CM Punk.
Yeah.
Because
I agree.
one, I mean, chasing your dreams one thing, but when you're already famous and you're doing it in front of millions of people and getting beat like that, I mean, I give him respect for even fucking doing it.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah,
ballsy
man.
move.
I wish he had 5 more years. I wish he did this when he was 25.
Yeah.
He has potential. He has gameness. You know, he wants to do it. He's just not there yet skill wise.
In his defense, I mean, he lasted 3 rounds, depending on what Mike Jackson bet on himself.
The other thing that somebody asked me about, like, yeah, but Brock Lesnar was successful, and I was like, yeah, but the difference is that Brock Lesnar is a physical specimen. That guy is an athletic freak, and
he was a real wrestler.
yeah, he was. Yeah, that's the other
he's a
thing.
fantastic freestyle wrestler.
Yeah, he was a phenomenal freestyle wrestler. He's an athletic,
And also, he's like 3
Freak of
CM Punks
nature.
melted together.
Exact-
He's just a large individual.
Dude, CM Punk looks like me if I started lifting weights. Like a guy that's just a normal guy
Yeah.
can't start fighting in the highest level in the not even at the very highest
Yeah.
level in the best league, the best promotion in MMA after only like a year or two of training. These things take years and they
Exactly.
take a ton of natural athletic skill.
I didn't
I would
realize. Go ahead.
No, you.
I didn't realize that Mickey Gall had beaten both of them.
Yeah, I didn't realize
I thought that
either
was
until
so funny.
Yeah, it was basically
I
the
was
battle of the word.
dying. Yeah.
was-
I would have loved to watch that fight next to Mickey Gall and just see what he thought.
Yeah, it was very. I didn't realize that Mike had fought Mickey Gall and lost, but it makes sense because even Mike seems like a guy who's kind of just figuring it out. I mean,
was fun.
I don't know his full story. I think he was a photographer of MMA
No shit.
and then transitioned into fighting. I'm not 100% certain on that. He's a nice guy, though. He's very active on Twitter. Favorites a lot of people's tweets. I think if
What a
you're going to be
hero.
like a CM Punk,
I know. What a
I
fucking
salute you, sir.
philanthropist. You favoriting tweets.
he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
But I think if you're going to do what CM Punk does, I think it's actually easier if you're a heavyweight. I think heavyweight's the easiest
I agree.
division to attempt to fight in. If you have some experience, because essentially it's just, you're not going to have to worry too much about the ground game. It's a lot of guys just beating the shit out of each other.
It's a weird thing to say. I see what you're saying.
I would
but
say
it's
if I
like,
could pick any division, I think if there's like a guy like Lesnar, even take away the wrestling, if it's just a big, strong dude who knows how to throw a punch, their best bet is probably heavyweight. Because I feel like the lower the divisions go, the more skilled.
the more skill, but the higher the division goes, the more chance of that big one punch knockout.
Oh, 100%. I mean,
So it's like
anyone
you-
who's in the UFC as a heavyweight right now throws with a lot of power.
Yeah.
Even the
Yeah.
guys who are losing.
So I don't really think it's a safe place anywhere in there, but I see what you're saying. I get your point. Dana not too happy with Mike Jackson,
No.
his performance,
There
his
was a lot of
style of which
showboating.
he fought. He was very kind of cocky and annoying, and like the bolo punches and the look away stuff. It's like, yeah, you're a better fighter than this guy who just started. Congratulations. Maybe just try to finish the fight.
He's like, you're also 0-1. Wasn't he? He was 0-1 going into the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nuts.
He had the worst case scenario that could have happened for him, where he won the fight and still came away less likable.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
exactly.
not good. He had to come away with people wanting to see him again.
As the fight progressed, I was like, come on, fucking catch
Yeah.
this idiot in a triangle, please.
His best bet is trying to join the WWE now.
That'd be very funny. That'd be a very funny turn.
And then they let him defend the title just one more time. So he defends it 142 times and beats CM Punk's record there, too.
Moving along, Andrei Arlovsky versus Tai Tuivasa, the 8-0 fighter, won a decision. I thought Andre won that one, but I get it. It was kind of close.
Very close. Ty's a hell of a fighter.
Such a fucking beast.
And Arlovsky looked pretty good.
I think Arlovsky's he looks better than he has in the last couple years. Like, I don't understand his fucking curve his skill has taken, where he's just so much more composed, but lighter on his feet, more technical than he's ever been. It's really impressive, and kind of like he's changing what the ideas of aging fighter look like. What people think about an aging fighter.
Yeah, he was in great shape.
He looked phenomenal.
And Ty, what I remember is he came out to My Heart Will Go On.
Yes.
And I also remember that I'm pretty sure he's going to have to get a nose job. I think pieces of his nose were missing.
His nose
nose
terrible.
got flattened.
He did a couple shoeies on the way out, which people seem to think is funny. I don't get it.
Listen, this is the Middle Easy podcast.
I'm so sorry.
It's
so
the home of
sorry.
shoeies.
I spit in a shoe and drank a beer. Look at me.
Fight Fist Crew is
Hilarious.
Fight Fist Crew does not support shoeies.
I don't support alcohol consumption of any kind.
We're straight
fun
edge,
fight.
baby.
Then the one I really was excited about, Holly Holm versus Megan Anderson.
Oh my!
Megan
God.
Anderson is such a big fighter at this
She's
weight
a legit
division.
weight.
She's enormous. She's like so long, and I love Holly Holm. She's probably like, other than the people I'm personal friends with, Neil Magny and Holly Holm are my favorite fighters. I don't have
Why
no.
Holly Holm? Because of how
She's
technical of a striker she is?
So technical. I like fighters that's not necessarily like a freak athleticism or reflex. It's just you fucking do the work.
Yeah.
And she does the work.
And
'Cause you
especially
said-
this night more than ever, she did the goddamn work.
You said that was your favorite part of fighting, was doing the work and getting better at the craft.
Yes,
right?
yeah.
More so than even the actual.
Than even the fight itself. Yeah. I was so impressed with her ability to stick to a game plan, her ability to not stay in, like when she was on top and ground and pound, she wouldn't risk losing the position to attack a submission if Megan was doing a good job bumping. Like, she had mount and Megan did a really good job bumping, and Holly just stood up and left instead of just trying to roll out into like her guard. It's just so disciplined.
Holly's wrestling looked phenomenal. She was throwing shoulders too, which was so fun.
Yeah.
She was just
From mount,
collapsing
yeah.
down with the shoulder. I mean,
It's smart.
that was one of the, if not the best Holly Holm I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of her. I really love her.
Nunez called her out, which would be an amazing fight.
I'd love to see that because she's going back between 35 and 45. I think she belongs at 35, but you freak what you feel.
Yeah.
I actually think that's perfect because then she fights Nunez and then Cyborg gets the winner. Even though if Holm fights this way against Cyborg, I think she stands a chance to beat her.
I think that this is a bold claim, but I think Nunez beats either of them.
You think Nunez beats Cyborg?
You know
I'm not
what?
disagreeing. I
I'm
just want
on
to make
your
sure
train.
I heard you.
I'm
Because
on
I
the
agree with
Nunez
you. I
train.
agree.
Yeah, no, I do. It's a hard fight, and if Cyborg wins, I'll say this: if Cyborg wins, I'm certainly not going to be surprised if
Sure.
Cyborg won a fight.
Oddly, I want to see a Cyborg versus Megan Anderson.
Yeah,
Because Cyborg's not going to try and take her down and out dominate her positionally. She's going to bang with her, and I think Megan might have enough reach and kind of power to crack Cyborg. Because
Yeah.
the first exchange Megan and Holly had, Holly got caught.
Yeah.
She fucking landed flush, and you could see it stunned her. And then, what makes Holly's game plan and commitment to the game plan so much more impressive.
yeah.
Like, she just went into the fire and went past Megan's punching range, and fucking took her down and grappled her, and it was just so impressive.
Yeah, man. I think that Holly would give Nunez a good fight. I think Cyborg, of course, would give her a good fight. I would love to see Nunez Cyborg not Nunez. I would love to see Nunez Holm first.
Yeah, I
because
agree.
they're both very good strikers.
Agreed.
And I think it would be a very cool fight to watch on the feet.
Have they fought yet?
No.
Not to
No.
my knowledge.
No, I don't think so.
There's a lot. It's exciting because this is a women's division where there's a lot of exciting fights possible between multiple divisions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really cool. Really fun moment.
Kayla, who we interviewed,
Kayla Harris.
she said that women's MMA is the fastest growing sport in the world right now.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
Yeah, and
that's pretty
this is a perfect time to talk about it. But Ronda got inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Congratulations.
Congratulations,
Friend of
Ronda.
the Middle Easy.
Yeah,
Ronda Rousey. Have you heard of
Absolutely
her?
a friend of the podcast.
I walked
Outside
by
of
her
the
once in
color
person.
thing,
Yeah.
she's kind of like the Jackie Robinson of women's MMA.
Yeah, she kind of is.
I didn't
Minus
say
the
that.
black
That was
thing.
Dan Lamort saying that.
Yeah, that was the guy
she's
who
a
looks
pioneer.
like he would say it is me.
Women would not be in the UFC if it wasn't for Ronda. Dana White has said that. She was specifically the reason why he changed his mind.
Yeah.
That's enormous. It sucks how it's ended for her.
So quickly.
It was a 3-year bang and then out.
Yeah.
But
what
luckily,
she did in those
But
3 years.
You know what's interesting is that the sport progressed so quickly because of her, but because it progressed so quickly, she could no longer compete at the level she used to be able to. I think is what happened. And it's not that Ronda's not amazing. She's one of the best fighters in the history of the UFC. But I do think that just this. I do just think that the skill, the ability level, the skill level of the fighters in her division,
Yeah.
while she was away. Because at the home fight, she was still a fantastic fighter, but I think home was just better than her that night, and Ronda did not prepare enough for that fight, and she was not good enough at striking. She tried to keep it on the feet. It was not a good game plan. But then her time away, Amanda Nunes became this amazing fighter with a ton of great competition. And it was a lot different than Ronda submitting people in 14 seconds automatically where she doesn't even stand a chance of being knocked out or anything.
well, I always wonder if the Sarah McMahon fight would have continued and Ronda would have got a sub instead of getting the knockout, if she wouldn't have gotten a taste for that kind of a finish. Because she kind of lost that instinct to finish with a sub as quickly as possible, which I think made her so dangerous. She kind of got into the last couple fights into like wanting to stand and bang, and that was, I think, her downfall.
Well, yeah, and around the same time, she started training with Edmund. And
Well, no, she's been training with Edmund the whole time.
oh yeah, but why did he? Because he's the one who wanted her to work on her striking and be a striker and box with both Nunes and Holm. So why was that?
I don't know.
Because
I don't really remember.
Because usually people also blame him for Travis Brown's decline.
Oh yeah,
Because they think that he did.
People really hate Edmund. I think that's the
he's
point.
very hateable.
Yeah, people do not like him.
So she was with him for a while, and then Travis Brown started training with him after he started dating Ronda. Was that what it was?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. Because he was at Jackson Winklejohn, and then he transferred over there to Glendale Fight Club, I think, or Fighting System. I can't remember what it's called.
Didn't she also fuck around with Nick Diaz too?
They're friends. Her and the Diaz brothers are friends.
'Cause
I don't know. If they
I
ever...
know a lot of people attribute her to making him drink again and creating what is now Nick Diaz.
Oh wow.
Yeah, apparently he was sober, and then I don't know. This was just all MMA Twitter.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, man.
But that
It's
being
so
said,
hard
I
to
think
tell.
Ronda. I got emotional seeing that tribute to her. It
was so
a
good.
great tribute, and also MMA Junkie John was on it.
I love that. Yeah.
They played the whole thing,
Oh,
and he
that's
was on
cool.
it.
So congratulations
Yeah,
to
congrats,
Ronda
Ronda.
Rousey.
Friend of Middle Easy.
Yeah, I do think back to the female fighting thing. I don't know how long we want to stay on it, but I do think that Amanda Nunes is the best female fighter on the planet right now. I think she's incredible.
Especially
yeah.
the most exciting. I love watching her.
Yeah.
I think I prefer watching Rose, but yes, Amanda is very good.
Oh my God! How did I forget Rose?
Well, you know, whatever.
that's a
I
good-
blame it on CTE. Rose, you know you're my favorite fighter, and you bought this equipment. Thank
Co-main
you, Rose.
event: Rafael Dos Anjos
Let's not
versus
talk
Colby
about it.
Covington. And
Boo.
oh boy, was I! What's the word? Yeah, I'm so impressed with Cody as a fighter.
Colby.
Colby, I really like him as a fighter. When he's fighting, I think he's extremely impressive.
100%.
I've-
It's when that stops.
It's insane to me the pace he keeps. It really is a astronomical level of effort he puts into a fight. It's really genuinely impressive.
He gave RDA no chance.
No room
RDA
to
threw
breathe.
every punch off his back feet.
Yeah, no
It was
room to
insane.
breathe. It's so impressive. It's such a bummer to me that he's a douchebag online.
It's
now,
an act.
But you're still saying those things.
Yeah, you know how it's annoying though because it's so clear it's an act because he doesn't have the full confidence. If you ever heard him talk shit, he stutters.
He stutters. It doesn't
kind of
feel
realize
natural.
like, what did I think I was gonna say? It's all pre-planned.
Yeah, that's my biggest problem with
Not
he
even
does
good at it.
He sounds like that's my biggest problem. He sounds like a douchebag. I'm not really offended by anything he says. I think it's all kind of just stupid. It is annoying, but the worst part about it is how bad he is at shit talking. Because he's not well spoken, he's not witty. If you're gonna shit talk, you have to be like Connor or Bisping. You have to be witty. You have to be fucking funny and clever and be able to bust someone's balls in an interesting way. Connor would almost riff jokes off. And Bisping does the same thing, and it's funny, and they have good timing, and they're likable, and everybody likes to hear them talk. And
this is the worst case scenario, both of them. This is what happens when you're not a likable person.
Colby's like if you were listening to like a meathead in a bar talk for like 3 years. It's just so annoying.
It's also just so impressive that he has, like, my friend Adi, who's a guy who I used to spar with at Almeida's, and he now trains over at ATT in South Florida where Colby trains, and he was tweeting this, like, I saw this kid start from scratch, and now he's the world champion. Like, that's so crazy how
like
quickly.
Just walking in the gym with no training.
Yeah, with no I
experience.
mean, he's a phenomenal collegiate wrestler.
Yeah.
But, like, with no MMA training, and now he's the world champion. Like, if you have a good wrestling base, it's pretty crazy how quickly you can become a dangerous elite fighter.
It really is insane.
It's crazy.
What's going to be impressive is if he maintains the belt, because now people were a little bit skeptical if he was going to fight with this pace in a 5-round fight, and now everyone knows this is his plan. This is what he's going to do. Now it's going to be impressive if say they learn how to defend against this, which I'm sure Woodley will have a great fight plan against it. If how he's going to be able to adjust to that will determine if he's actually a champion.
So, first of all, I think his cardio is some of the best cardio I've ever seen in my life.
It's absurd. It makes no sense.
I think his cardio is as good as Bisping's. It's as good as the Diaz brothers. It's like an unbelievable level of cardio.
I would love to know what his resting heart rate is.
Yeah, because they say Bisping's is like 38 or some insane
Some
thing
fucking
like that.
crazy number.
Yeah, so I bet Colby's is similar. It's crazy. His especially for 5 rounds to be able to keep that pace. Yeah, that was insane. And I think that if I were to put money on who's going to win him versus Woodley, I would definitely put it on Woodley. Woodley's phenomenal, and I think he's more powerful than I think he's.
Yeah, he's a little more explosive. He's bigger. He's not going to get bullied as much on the fence.
Bigger, more explosive, more powerful. I also think if Colby wants to take it to the ground, Woodley is one of the best wrestlers in MMA. He's just been lately, keeping it on the feet.
Because he wants to.
Yeah,
it's what the fans want. He's trying to, I understand that completely.
And you know how it's an act is he forgot who he was after the first round because once the bell sounded, he went to give a hug to RDA. And then you saw him in his head be like, oh, wait, this isn't what I do anymore.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
And then he backed away. He had one little slip where you were like, oh, that's really who he is. He's actually a regular person.
Yeah, and when we interviewed Kayla Harrison, she was talking about how, because one of the other press people asked what are their thoughts on Colby, and she's like, well, obviously I don't agree with what he says, but he's a really good guy. She's like, yes, we understand. Like, that's the thing. I understand it's an act. I understand it's a character, but you still are saying racist
it's
and
not gonna change
homophobic
anything.
things. I don't care if it's an act. You just don't say those like that.
You can't call a whole group of people dirty animals.
Yeah, dude,
and
fuck off with that.
I mean, I think when I realized how much of an act it was when he started saying he was going to bring his belt to the White House.
Right.
I was like, oh, now he's just saying something that's going to offend everybody. Not even offend, it's just going to ruffle feathers. I mean, I don't know. It's like seeing a comic who's approaching an older age and is still doing the frat bro thing on stage.
Oh, fuck you.
It's like, how long is he going to be able to maintain this for?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm like fucking numb to being offended by stuff, but I do think that I just hate when it's poorly done, when it's not he's literally not even entertaining. Like, I just think it's not delivered well. Because, you know what, if I'm gonna be honest, Connor said some borderline racist shit, but a lot of the times it was still kind of funny. Like, Connor said that he was gonna turn. He said, remember when he talked about Aldo? He goes, I want to turn his favela into a Reebok sweatshop. Like, that's fucking,
It's funny.
kind of, that's wrong to say, but it is funny. Colby's, just screaming that you guys filthy animals suck. Like, that's not.
There's no
witty.
originality behind it. Connor's actually a funny guy. Colby's not funny.
Yeah, no, it's not entertaining. It's just obnoxious. It's more he comes off very obnoxious.
He's like the Dice of Andrew Dice Clay of MMA, where he just had a few characters, and this is the one he went with.
Yeah.
So very impressive win. Very excited to see him versus Woodley, which hopefully happens within a couple.
I did
next
want.
couple
I did
months.
want to say Woodley was.
Nope,
on,
sorry, I don't want to hear it. No, what did you say?
Woodley was on Ariel's last MMA hour. Which
Oh, yes,
congrats, Ariel.
congrats to Ariel.
Yeah, on the move to ESPN.
Was it the last MMA hour forever? That's sad.
No, it's his last one. I think they're going to continue the show, just not with Ariel.
Yeah, and
Really?
he's gonna do a similar show on ESPN.
Yeah. Good for him. He
yeah,
deserves it.
It's amazing. But he was Woodley was on, and Woodley was talking about Colby Covington, and he was just kept saying, "I'm going to give him the biggest ass whooping of his life. I'm going to beat him so badly he's never going to fight again. That's my goal. I want to end his career." Which is like, Colby's said some horrible things, so Woodley has the right to say whatever he wants to say about Colby. My only thing is it does kind of remind me of Aldo McGregor and a
He's
couple
in his
other
game
fights.
now.
Yeah, man, it's just like it reminds me of Aldo McGregor. It reminds me of Ronda Holly. It's just when a guy gets that emotional, I don't think it's good for his fight. I don't think it. I think you can't be that emotionally invested.
Well,
because-
when you're a fighter that is an unemotional fighter, and then you become emotional, like then it can be a detriment to your fighting style.
Yeah, and
Woodley hasn't really been an emotional fighter.
No, man, and it's that's the thing is like it works for Cody Garbrandt. I don't think it might not work for Tyron Woodley.
Yeah.
Because you're right. He doesn't fight like that. He's the guy that fought a boring fight because it was technically sound against.
It's how to win.
Yeah, against
Dave Meyer.
Wonder Boy. He's
and
he's a
Wonder Boy.
gamer.
Yeah, fucking couple fights.
Yeah.
He wants to win. I get that. I totally get that.
Me too. And I think, but
Maybe
I think
this
if
will bring out a whole new Woodley that's just even more of a monster.
it would be cool, but I do think usually if the fighter goes in that emotional and they're not usually that emotional in going into a fight, it ends in their detriment.
Yep.
Sure.
So
It's
I
going
am
to
a
be very
little-
interesting to see that press conference and how each of them react along the way,
Yeah, it'll be fun.
And then main event,
which might be one of the best fights of all time.
and I will admit I went to sleep. I was entertained, but I was falling asleep. I was so tired. I have my Friday Saturday is a very hard 48 hours physically on me, and I was fucking wrecked. And I think I got to the second round, and I'm like I can't stay awake. So please feel free to tell me what happened.
So, 5-round absolute fucking battle. Whitaker ends up winning by split. Well, let's start with Yoel missed weight. He weighed in. He had to weigh at a 185 on the dot or below because it was a championship fight.
186.
Or one.
You're allowed 1 pound over. He was 186.2.
No. He's 185.2. Is because it was a championship fight. You have to weigh the
I
exact.
totally thought it was
He missed weight
186.
by 0.2 pounds.
Yeah, so he weighed in at first at 186 on the dot, so he was one pound over, but you get 2 hours to weigh in again, so you had to lose exactly 1 pound in that 2 hour span.
He didn't shave.
Romero's
Or as Yoel says, 2 hour.
2 hours.
He weirdly sounds like an
The
old
guy-
Asian man
Jesus.
at a restaurant. I don't know what
That
accent
Jay-
he has.
That Jay Moore joke about toddlers sounding like Vietnamese shop owners. Daddy go to work. Daddy not here.
That is exactly how Yoel talks.
That's such a good bit. That's Jay Moore's one good bit. Fuck off.
Dude, I've never heard that joke before.
It's very funny.
God, that's amazing.
The act out is what makes it because he like kind of stumbles forward and he's like bow-legged, like Daddy go to work. You shop, you look around, you never buy.
Dude, I swear to God,
That's
one
not
of
me
the
doing that
funniest
accent.
things
I'm
You
I've ever
preface with just the bit, not the name. I would be like, who did that? Burr?
Oh,
heard.
exactly. Yeah,
So
exactly.
funny.
With Jay
He must
Moore.
have stole it from somebody.
Oh God, that's hysterical.
Yeah, that was actually
God,
that
he's-
fan had that one locked and loaded, but Jay Moore took it from him.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck, that's hilarious.
So he didn't make weight.
No, he didn't make weight, and then basically they gave him 2 hours. You get 2 hours to weigh in a second time, and in that 2 hour span, he had to lose 2 pounds, or he had to lose 1 pound exactly. And Romero's camp, Ariel said they were furious, and they claim that the Illinois Athletic Commission stopped them with an hour to go, and they only gave him 1 hour, and they forced them to stop the cut.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And it did not seem like that was a made up thing. And Romero weighed in at only 0.2 pounds over, which kind of corroborates their story. Like
Yeah.
it kind of it makes you think, yeah, I think the commission probably stopped that, which sucks for Romero. And so then the fight was just a fight. It wasn't for the
It
belt.
wasn't for the title.
Yeah, it was just a middleweight fight. But
Whitaker's such an impressive fighter, man.
yeah, he's
So smart, so disciplined. Again, the things that I'm impressed with: technical, skill, precision and sticking to game plans. I mean, Yoel is so fun to watch because he's a freak athlete.
Yeah.
But I'm not. It's not that I'm not impressed with it, but I tend to emotionally invest myself in fighters that are.
Whitaker broke his hand in the first round.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he didn't have any right.
Like in the corner, he just had a hammer against his. He's like, "Fuck it, break it."
Let's
go.
He said in his post-fight interview that he couldn't feel from his elbow down.
Oh
It
wow,
was all just numb.
that's great. Good for him.
He should have not done the interview and jerked off then. Then it feels like someone else is doing it.
That's fun. That's a fun joke.
I
Thanks,
do
Diego.
think that Whitaker won split decision. First of all, I fucking love that he said this could have gone either way. Like you never hear a fighter
Never
say
hear,
that.
yeah.
You usually hear, I thought I won. I definitely thought I had that.
And he literally was like, he hits like a truck.
Yeah, he goes, he's like a fucking truck. And that was what. So first, I was most impressed with Whitaker. What I was most impressed with Whitaker is that he was that tough. I couldn't believe.
He was on wobbly legs for basically the last 10 minutes of the fight.
Yeah, man, it was
Wow.
bizarre.
He got tagged really.
kept thinking he was gonna get knocked out, and he just wouldn't go down, dude.
It was literally like, it was as if the Doohoo Choi Cub Swanson fight went 5 rounds.
It really was.
It was that.
And
it
then
was
Dooho
it was
Choi
a back
won.
and forth. Yeah, and
Yeah.
Doohoo Choi won.
But that's not to say Whitaker didn't deserve the win, because he clearly won the first 2 rounds. I think that and I think he won the 4th round. I do think it was a draw. I don't think I would have, because I think one of the rounds was a 10-8.
Oh, you would have judged it a draw.
Yeah, I would have said I would have
My
called it a
guess
draw.
is if
You're a
Romero
coward.
made weight, he would have won that fight. I think him not making weight for the past 2 championship fights is in the back of the judge's head, whether they say yes or no. And when it comes down to giving it a draw, you give it to the guy who actually showed up and made weight.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
That's a pretty good hypothesis. I think
Because it could have easily went the other way. But with that on, I would have judged it the way it went because of the fact that Whitaker showed up and made weight.
yeah.
Also, the incentive is gone for Yoel. I mean, I know he wanted to win, but like the idea of like, damn it, I'm not even gonna win the title if I win.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a little bit behind
and
it
he
somewhere.
still was going in, man. I mean, the third round and the 5th round, he was beating the shit out of Robert Whitaker.
Wow.
He was
Yeah.
hitting him so hard. I couldn't believe it. And Whitaker landed some amazing kicks in the fight, and Whitaker won those first 2 rounds clearly.
Bro, he
but-
closed Romero's eye pretty early as well.
He
Romero
really
basically
did.
fought with one eye
Yeah,
as well.
Wow.
it was crazy. But
It was everything you want a main event to be.
it was amazing, man. Whitaker is a really good sport about it. He was really honest in the post-fight interview. He fought amazingly. He's like incredibly tough. His game plan is solid. He's just a
What pissed me
well-rounded
off was
fighter.
Rogan was like, "Do you want to do the trilogy?" Rogan called it the rubber match. A rubber match is when it's 1 and 1.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to fight Romero again. He's beat him twice in a
No, but
row.
I don't like. I get that he used the wrong terminology. I agree with that. But I didn't like that people were. I disagree. He doesn't have to fight Romero right away.
No, it should
But-
happen again, but it does need to be the next one.
No, it doesn't. And you're right. They should give it to someone else.
Romero
I think
should even
Weidman-
try to go up.
Weidman should probably get it next.
Yeah.
And then I think Gastelum probably, or if not Weidman, probably Gastelum. One of
Yeah.
them, they said they think is going to be the next one in line. I assume it'll probably be Weidman.
Romero called out the winner of Stipe Cormier, but he wants to fight Cormier at light heavyweight.
Oh, okay. I'm like,
He
that's a
said he
different weight
wants-
class.
yeah,
What's he talking about?
He said he wants to fight Cormier at 205.
That's 2 weight classes away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that would be cool. I think that would be an amazing fight, and I would love to see Romero at that weight. He'd have even more power. Probably.
Jesus Christ, it'd be nuts.
It's scary.
I wonder what he walks around at.
210.
I mean, yeah, I'm
He
guessing.
He walks
probably.
around
It's
it
crazy.
scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's he's a freak of nature.
My
and
thing was, and I love Al Iaquinta, and he wasn't the only person that said this, but there are a lot of fighters on Twitter saying that they didn't think Romero deserved the 3rd fight because he missed weight twice. But it's like, dude, he missed weight by 0.2 pounds. Whether or not you believe the Illinois Athletic Commission stopped the second weigh-in early, or stopped the second cut early, that you got to take that into account. And I mean, it was 0.2 pounds, and he fought phenomenally,
Mm-hmm.
and he fought really well in the first fight.
Yeah, it's very
So,
entertaining.
I don't think that. I definitely think Romero's deserving of a 3rd fight. I also think Robert shouldn't have to fight him immediately.
Yeah.
But this idea, they're like, nah, he lost twice, he missed weight twice, he's done. It's like, dude, he beat the shit out of Robert Whitaker, who's one of the best fighters ever.
yeah.
If Whitaker gets a different opponent, if Yoel wins another fight and makes weight, then I think he should get another shot. But,
Yeah, because to be honest, that's the best fight for that division. I love Weidman. I love Gastelum. I don't see them beating Whitaker. Especially, he just took a beating from the strongest guy in that division.
Yeah.
Yeah, when
Actually, Gastelum, his last fight against Jacare was so impressive.
Very
Gastelum,
impressive.
I think Gastelum would have a better shot against Whitaker than Weidman would. But I still think Whitaker would beat Gastelum too. Whitaker's so good, man. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
I would say, though, just off the UFC pecking order and how things usually go, my guess is Weidman, that fight gets announced soon.
Yeah.
Probably
I
for
wouldn't be
next
surprised.
year.
I wouldn't be surprised.
And then Romero, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with him next. I think he should try one more time to make weight in this division. But if he was actually as unhealthy as I heard he was, that he needed help walking around
Yeah,
and was
it's brutal.
wincing, maybe they should not make him do this again and
So-
go up a weight.
Diego, you know about cuts. Do you think he started his cut too late?
I mean, I'd have
Or
to
let
know more
himself to
deep.
get too heavy?
Probably he walks around probably pretty heavy, but probably just should be at a higher weight class.
think so?
I think weight cutting is fucking brutal, and
It's very similar to what happened with Rumble back in the day.
Yeah.
When Rumble kept missing weight but was an exciting fighter,
Mm-hmm.
and then he finally moved up, and Rumble's run at heavyweight was pretty impressive.
It was very impressive,
Yeah,
and
man.
like it was so much more fun in the later rounds because of it. He had the energy to consistently push the pace of the
Yeah, and
fight.
that's my thing.
Dude.
Like Romero in the late rounds still is throwing with energy.
Yeah.
So he has the stamina to. I don't know. Who knows?
I mean, he might be amazing at 205. The fact that Rumble used to fight at 170 is bizarre.
It's crazy.
That's-
Like, did you cut off parts of your body? Like
It's so
you just
weird.
shave down your thigh? in
Especially
between
now.
fights?
He's like a solid 300.
Oh yeah, he's just going full power lifter.
The-
Yeah.
Well, the other thing that's amazing about the Romero-Cormier matchup is that they're arguably the two best wrestlers that have ever been in MMA.
Yeah,
They're both Olympians. I mean,
Cormier's so goddamn impressive.
unbelievable. And Romero is. And they're both so strong. They're both so powerful.
Mhm.
I mean, that is a matchup.
Romero
of
was
two-
literally a silver medalist in the Olympics, which
Yeah.
is wild.
You know what's wild about that is that he got the silver medal in the 2000 Olympics.
Yeah, that was a long
He was
time
a
ago.
silver medalist 18 years ago, and he's this good right now.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I
It's
guess he
crazy.
was before the steroids.
Ah man, he's earned it. Good for him.
Yeah, he's amazing, man.
well. We're good to wrap up.
I did want to say I would love to see if Romero does stay 85. I would love to see him fight. What would be cool is if they give Weidman the shot for the belt again against Whitaker, and in the meantime they set up a fight between Romero and Gastelum.
Mhm.
That
I
is
think-
a
Oh, that'd be
fucking
fun. Yeah, I'd
battle.
like that.
Right? That'd
Yeah,
be
I like
cool.
that.
Gastelum's young. He's at the top of his game right now. Incredibly quick hands. He's a gamer when he's in
They
there.
both miss weight a lot, so if they both do, it's okay.
Romero versus Gastelum at 300 pounds.
Yeah, just catch weight, and then they also have to have a hot dog eating contest or a taco, because I know Gaslam really likes Mexican food.
Oh, that makes sense.
Romero versus Gastelum in a kiddie pool full of chocolate milk. Winner gets to drink the milk.
That's beautiful. What a fucking life.
Yeah, man.
Well,
But
thank you everyone for sending me money. That was really cool of everyone. No, I'm just kidding. Thanks everyone for listening.
yeah,
Thank you for donating to our Patreon page, my wallet.
Hey, hello. Wow, wow, wow.
Review us on iTunes. Give us a 5-star review, please, and we'll shout you out.
Yeah, we
And,
haven't had a review in a while. The last one is the guy talking about your nationality. It sounds so much like a Tim review.
Oh, yeah, there's a guy who was talking about how he likes that I'm Lebanese.
Yeah,
I didn't know you were Lebanese.
I am Lebanese, yeah.
That's great. Look at us. That makes sense because you're olive complexion.
Yeah, I don't even. To be honest, I don't know what Lebanese is, and looking at you does not help it.
It's like Syrian.
It still doesn't
Ew.
help looking
No,
at
I'm
you.
just kidding. I love saying "ew" after someone tells me their nationality. It's very funny. It's a very funny bit.
Oh, guys, donate to the Syrian conflict.
God bless you.
Thank you,
God bless all of
everybody. We
us.
love you, fisters.
Congratulations, Ariel Hawani.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rest in
congrats.
peace, Anthony Bourdain. God
Oh,
bless
yeah.
us. Bye.
Bye.